Why do so many online businesses fail? You know, it's said that about 95% of them do. Is there a key? Is there a way that we can keep that from happening in your business? Well, I think there is, and that's what we're going to talk about. And right at the end of the video, we're going to talk about the 4-step process that I use for resetting my thermostat for success. All of that coming up right ahead. So what is it that causes so much failure in business and many other aspects in our lives? Well, it really comes down to that inner voice that we hear. Some people call it internal dialogue. And what can we do about that? Most of us think that's something that's built into us and there's nothing we can do about it. Well, to some extent it is built into us, but there is something that we can do about. You know, we have a choice. We have a choice. We can change our thinking. And we are not what our thoughts are. We are separate from our thoughts. So what do we need to do? We need to start generating what we do want to think, what we do want to think about, and what we do want to be. There was a study done at Harvard on goals, setting goals. There are actually 3 different types of people. There are 3 groups. There's the people that have no plan. There's the people that have a plan, but in their head. And there's the people who have a written plan. This study from the Harvard Business School suggested that 83% of the population has no goals at all. 14% fit in the group where they have a plan in their head, and only 3% have a plan that's written down. Now, what's the difference in the results that these people have? Well, the study found that the 14% that have a plan in their head are 10 times more successful than those without any goals at all. And the 3% that have written goals are 3 times more successful than even the 14%. So it's important not only to have a plan, but to have it written down. So why does all of this work that way? What is so important about goals and actually writing down your plan? Well, I wanted to go through this diagram here. It's not fancy artistry or anything like that. The reason I wanted to go through it, some people look at these and find these a little boring, but when I saw this, it was the aha moment that I needed to understand what it is that makes these sort of things work, because I was rather suspicious that we could change our thinking. So let's go with that. This is to represent a person here. This is the head. Most of this is going on in the mind, so it's rather large. And then you see the rest of the body. Okay, and the mind is broken down into 2 parts. The way we're illustrating it here, the subconscious or lower part of the mind and the conscious part of the mind. And then, of course, we have the body. The conscious part is the thinking part of the mind. And the subconscious part is where our emotions are. And then, of course, when those control our body, we take action and we get results. But let's go back to where all of this starts. When we're a baby, we really start as totally a product of our environment. We don't have conscious thoughts initially. Those are developed over time. We only have the subconscious thoughts. And anything that comes to us, any idea, goes directly to our subconscious mind. This is an important thing to note because it means that our subconscious starts out very early and is very powerful. We're that product of the environment. We're getting those things from our environment. We're getting those things from our parents. We're getting those things from school. Not that school's a bad thing, but we learn some things that make things work for us in school that may not be the best thing for our business later on. All right, now let's move on to how this affects us as an adult. So let's say this programming happens, and we'll call that X. Our subconscious X affects our thinking and our actions. Everything is related to X. But we want to move on to something else. Let's say we start, because this is what I like to talk about. Let's say we want to start a business. We want to start an online business and sell affiliate products, let's say, sell somebody else's products online. So we get started with a mentor who's going to teach us how to do this. And this mentor presents us some why concepts. They may be a little bit different than our X concepts. And so we take off with our conscious mind doing the things that we're supposed to do. And let's just say, for the sake of this, that we know this is going to be successful. We know this works. There's lots of documentation that it works. It's worked for many others. The only question is it going to work for you or me? A few days down the road, we run into a roadblock. And we still have this X subconscious doing its job, trying to control our mind. It's been there all of our life. So we make an effort, we have some worry, we have some fear, we have some anxiety, because these conflict. We make an effort, we run into our roadblock, and we don't get anywhere. And of course, the more we do this, we keep trying, but we're not doing anything to help Y overcome X. So it just keeps getting worse. Our fear, our worry increase. Our body exhibits more symptoms of anxiety. So what do? Well, we need to start working on that why. We need to start working on those positive thoughts, at least positive in relationship to our business. Not that all these X things are negative thoughts necessarily, but they're negative for us accomplishing our business. So we start working on the why thoughts, and we start trying to overcome the X thoughts that are getting in the way of our business. That opens up a channel in this. Now, I made it look like there's no problem getting through there. That's not really what happens. Makes the diagram look better, but we have to take some massive action, and we have to have very strong why positive thoughts helping us get through this roadblock. Once we get through that roadblock, we're much better prepared the next time with good, strong, positive why thoughts. Now, this is not a one-time thing. This keeps going on. There's more of these on down the line. And we have to keep working on ourselves. We have to keep working on our skills in our business, but we also have to keep working on how our mind works so that we can overcome those negative thoughts. Now, I hope that was helpful for you. That made a lot of sense to me when I did that, when I saw this for the first time. So now the important thing is, how do I do it? How do you do it? That's really the important thing. So I wanted to give you the 4 steps that I use to work on those Y-type thoughts, those positive thoughts that can overcome the X, get rid of those subconscious thoughts that are keeping me from accomplishing what I want to do. And of course, what are those things that get in our way? What are those roadblocks? Well, let's say we ran out of money for doing our business, or let's say we just got discouraged or didn't have time. We're still working a full-time job, and we're trying to make this in an hour or 2 a day and a few more hours on the weekends trying to make this business work. We ran out of time. All of those things we could probably overcome if we had worked on our why thoughts and been able to overcome the X thoughts that we have been programmed all our life to think when we ran into roadblocks like that. So here's the 4 steps that I use. Now, this first one is my recommendation. It's old. It was done back in the 1950s. Earl Nightingale talks a little bit differently than we do now, but it hits the nail right on the head. It's perfect. I'll give you a few other resources if you want to find something different, but this is really important. And he gives you the whole, in about 32 minutes, I think it is, he gives you the whole, everything you need. He gives you a whole 30-day process to go through. It's just really good. So overlook the fact that he talks a little bit different in the 1950s than we do in almost 2020. I think you'll really learn to like it, and it will really do something for you. The second thing I do, which he talks about in the video, is make a goal card. So make yourself a goal card, have your goal. He talks a little bit about how to make that goal. If you're struggling with what a goal would be, ask me some questions down in the response on this video. I'll be happy to try and help you with that. Review them multiple times a day. Number 3. Really important to go over these regularly, because you're trying to, again, overcome things that you've been programmed for maybe years, depending on your age, maybe decades, depending on what age you are when you start working on this. And then the fourth thing that I do, and he doesn't talk a lot about this in this particular piece, that's Strangest Secret, but the fourth thing that I do is I actually write down the goal every day, write it down in a notebook, keep a notebook, and do this daily. Some people even do it 2 times a day, or if you want to, and I do it on my iPad, you can write it down electronically, but make sure you're writing it down, because as we talked about early on, writing it down is important. And then after I've written down the goal, I write down, and I spend just 2 minutes doing this. It doesn't take a long time. I write down the things that I will be able to achieve, and I write them in present statements, like I have paid off all my debts. I paid cash for my house. Whatever the case might be. Yours may not even be a financial goal. That's fine. It doesn't matter. You can do what you want to do. You can become what you think about. All right? So spend 2 minutes doing that. Do it every day. I found it makes a lot of difference in my life when I do that sort of thing. My thinking is slowly, and it actually not that slowly, beginning to change as I do these things. Okay? Now, that's going to take some time. It doesn't, it feels like it's too much time, but I wanted to go to this quote by Brian Tracy, and I think this is really important to remember. Every minute you spend in planning saves 10 minutes in execution. This gives you a 1,000% return on your energy. So remember, this few minutes that you spend on your goal each day and changing your mind, you're going to get a huge return on your investment in time and energy. All right, I hope that's been helpful. Leave some comments down in the comment section down there. Let me know. If you have questions, do that too. If it's also been helpful, hit the like button. I'd love it if you'd do that for me. I'll leave some other links of some helpful things down there, as well as some other possibilities as far as, if you want to look at some stuff by some others like Brian Tracy. I'll leave some links down there, some names down there, and some videos and so on that they have as well. All right. Thank you very much. This is Daryl Ballard, and we'll see you in the next video.